Hello, this is Dr. Hanaa Assil, and this is the second video in biology for combined science, and we're talking about cells. So, you should know that the cell is the basic unit of living organisms. All living organisms are made up of cells. So, we have a cell like red blood cell. Red blood cell in animals is an example of a cell that transports oxygen to all body cells. Another example of a cell is this one. Do you know what this one is? This is a nerve cell and it is used to carry nerve impulses. So this is the one that carries instructions from your brain to the parts of your body, including the spinal cord. Now, this cell is called a ciliated cell, and the ciliated cell is present in your respiratory system to push mucus out of the respiratory system. So these are examples of cells in animals. Now, in plants, you know that this cell that has a lot of chloroplasts, is called a palisade cell. This is the one in the leaf, and it is used for photosynthesis. Do you know what that cell is? That's a root hair cell, and this is used to absorb water and minerals from the soil. Now, some organisms are made up of only one cell, so we call them unicellular organisms. A basic unicellular organism is bacteria, but there are other cells like these that are unicellular. So each of these is just one cell. Most organisms are multicellular, and that means they're made up of many, many cells. So, man, human beings, most plants, animals, all of us are made up of a lot of cells, millions of cells, so we're all multicellular. Now, a group of cells is called a tissue. So a tissue is a group of cells having similar structure and function. So for example, this is a tissue, and you should know that this is a diagram of a muscle tissue. Each cell is called a muscle cell, but several cells together are called a tissue, and you know that muscle tissue are the ones that contract to cause movement. Now, this is a group of cells in a leaf. We said each of them is called a palisade cell, but the group will be called a palisade tissue, or this is the palisade layer in the leaf. An organ is a group of tissues. So notice that a group of cells is a tissue. A group of tissues is an organ. So an organ is a group of tissues working together to perform specific functions. So what are the organs in the plant? A flower is an organ. A leaf is an organ. These are organs in the plant. In humans, for example, the brain is an organ, lungs, heart, stomach, bladder, liver, all of these are organs in humans. So remember that an organ is a group of tissues and a tissue is a group of cells. Now, a group of organs would be called an organ system. So in humans, we have many systems. So a group of organs that have related functions working together to perform certain functions, this is called an organ system. So we have circulatory system, nervous system, respiratory system, and so on. These are many systems in our body. In plants, where are the systems in the plants? Well, we have mainly the shoot system, which is above the soil, and the root system, which is inside the soil. So these are the systems in a plant. So we said a cell is the basic unit. Now, a group of cells will make up a tissue, a group of tissues will make up an organ, a group of organs will make up an organ system, and the organism is made up of several organ systems. Now, what is a cell made up of? Well, an animal cell basically has three main parts. The cell membrane is the outside layer of the animal cell. The cell membrane controls what goes in and out of the cell. We call it semi-permeable or partially permeable. The cytoplasm is what fills the cell. So all the cell is filled with a jelly-like fluid, which is called cytoplasm. And this is where most of the chemical reactions take place. The nucleus is the main part in any cell. It controls everything that happens in the cell, and that is because it contains the genetic material, or what we call the DNA. A plant cell has all the things that are present in the animal cell. So it has cell membrane, it has cytoplasm, it has nucleus, but it also has three main parts that are present only in plant cell. So it has a cell wall, and you should know that the cell wall is the outside cover of the plant cell. It's thick, rigid, gives it its shape, and it protects it. Um, Inside, in the middle of the plant cell, we have a sap vacuole. This is filled with fluid. It has food and water and wastes and minerals. Everything that is stored in the cell is stored in the sap vacuole. And we also have chloroplasts. If we're talking about a palisade cell, the chloroplasts are the ones that contain chlorophyll, and this is where photosynthesis happens. So you should realize that an animal cell, for example, liver cell, for example, you should realize a liver cell is an animal cell. So the difference between it and a plant cell is that it doesn't have cell wall, no chloroplasts, and it would only have small temporary vacuoles. These are used to store food, and they are usually used up and disappear quickly. The plant cell has a cell wall, and the cell wall is made of something called cellulose. It has chloroplasts. So if we're talking about a palisade cell, and this is something that's not present in the animal cell, and it will have a large sap vacuole that is permanent. It is always there, it does not disappear. So let's take a look at this question. Which structure found in plant cells is matched to its function? Well, what do you think is the correct answer? If we look at cell membrane, he's telling me the cell membrane is the one that provides strength and support. No, the one that provides strength and support is the cell wall, not the cell membrane. Chloroplast absorbs light energy. Yes, actually, that is the correct answer. A chloroplast has chlorophyll, and that absorbs light energy for photosynthesis. He's saying the cytoplasm. Always, when you're choosing this, please choose the correct answer and then check the others to make sure that they are not correct, to ensure that your answer is the correct one. So cytoplasm, he says, is filled with sap vacuole, or with cell sap for strengthening. That is not right. The one that is filled with cell sap for strengthening is the sap vacuole, not the cytoplasm. And then he says the permanent vacuole is the site of chemical reactions. No, we said the cytoplasm is the site for chemical reactions. So the answer is B. Okay, this is another typical question. Which row shows the features of a plant cell? Of course, a plant cell has what? It has cell membrane surrounding the cell wall. Well, the cell membrane is inside and the cell wall is outside. If he says cell wall surrounding the cell membrane, yes, the cell wall is the one that's outside. Vacuole presence, yes, so my answer should also be B. Are we following this? Okay, this is a very important part for actually, because in paper 6, or in, if we're talking about whether even the biology IGCSE or the combined biology, we have a paper 6 in which you will be required to draw something, draw a cell, draw structures, draw an object, something like that. So usually the rules for drawing in biology are as follows. First of all, you need a sharp HB pencil. The drawing should be in pencil. You do not press too hard because you need thin single lines when you're drawing anything. Make drawings as large as will fit into the space. So if you're saying draw a large drawing, yes, you should draw a large drawing, much larger than the one he has. We do not shade. Do not shade your diagram unless if he tells you to shade something. But you're not allowed to shade in the drawing, and you should show details and correct proportions. So if one place is smaller than the other, then yours should have that place smaller than the other, and so on. If a place is roundish or pointed, then yours should also be roundish or pointed. That's what we mean by correct proportions. You should also label only when required. So if he says he wants a label diagram, or he wants you to label something specific in it, then you go ahead and label. And when we label, we use a straight a straight line, no arrows from either side, and it should be just a straight line pointing to the part that you are labeling. The label line must end exactly on the part that you're labeling, and all labels should be in capitals and in pens. Okay, another thing he will ask you to do is find the magnification of a drawing. And you should realize that magnification means how big it is compared to what you were trying to draw. So it is the length of your drawing over the photograph times the magnification of the photograph if that photograph was originally magnified. If you're drawing something that is straightforward as it is, then it's just your length of your drawing over the length of the photograph. But if you're copying a photograph and that photograph is originally magnified, then that should be included in your calculation for magnification. If usually he will ask you to determine the original size of the organism. So the original size of the organism would be the length in the photograph over magnification. Okay. So this is an example just to show you what we're doing. The diagram shows an animal cell. The maximum diameter of the diagram is 25 millimeters. The maximum diameter of the actual cell was 0.02 millimeters. So he has, the drawing is 25. The actual one is 0.02. So how do we get magnification? We said the magnification is the drawing over the actual. So that is 25 millimeter over 0.02 millimeter. So that is 1250. And when we write magnification, it is always times something. So that times is very important. Here he has the width is 30, and he's giving me a certain magnification, and now he's asking for the actual width. How do we calculate the actual width? We said the actual width, the magnification is the drawing over the actual. So to get the actual, it is the drawing over the magnification. So it is the 30 millimeter divided by 1,000. So that is 0.03 millimeters. Okay, please revise all of this and we'll meet in the next video. Thank you for listening.